Yes, welcome back. This is Sports and Sorts, and it is episode 186. It's been a while since we've been here, and I'm excited to be back. Very excited. Super duper excited. How excited is the Bry Man to be back?
You're excited.
Feel these nipples. I was waiting for it. All right, so we got a great show today, a Friday afternoon, not morning. Usually it's around 10ish, but today we had some things. Some things popped up. Some doctor's appointments, some dentist appointments. So we had to move stuff around. But we're still here. So if you want to be notified when we go live, hit that subscribe button and, of course, that notification bell, and you'll be notified whenever we go live. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. And you can find Sports and Sorts anywhere podcasts are played. All our social media is on the website, which is www.sportsandsorts.libsyn.com. And Libsyn is spelled Libsyn. I am one of the hosts. My name is Shane Moore.
Oh, I'm the Bry Man.
And if you comment during the show, we will put it up on the screen.
I was completely distracted by something on my phone, and it's wow. I'll show it to you after the show.
Okay, great. All right.
I don't think I can really do it. I don't know if it's appropriate for the show.
I like insider stuff here. Yeah, okay. All right, so today we are going to be talking sports, which is the NBA Finals are in full effect, and they might have gotten just a little bit more interesting with some key injuries and some great outstanding play by some role players. We have the state of the Yankees, which I have a bit of a confession to make about the Yankees here. Also, some sorts topics today. All sorts of movies we have to talk about. Rambo, the Rambo trailer just dropped. There was his Last Blood. We have Bry Man has seen Godzilla. He's seen John Wick 3. He's seen Detective Pikachu. He's seen The Secret Life of Pets 2. Is there any other movies that you've seen that are...
That covers it for now.
All right. So he's seen a ton of movies. He's going to give you some quick reviews on all of those. But other than that, we got a great show. So let's go. So, Bry Man, first things up. The NBA Finals. Always very bittersweet when it comes to this certain player. Kawhi Leonard takes his team. He ends up getting out of San Antonio, lands in Toronto of all places, and has done fairly well for himself. They started off the season on gangbusters. We're first most of the year, well, at least part of the year, and then the Bucks kind of took over. But Kawhi Leonard, if there was any reason that people would kind of scoff at him and the way he plays, he's very talented on both sides of the ball. But if there was reasons why people would scoff at him and his game, those all have to be wiped out. He is a guaranteed top 3 player in the league. Guaranteed. You can't argue with it anymore. And then on top of that, he is inching himself into some of the greats of all time. Now, I would have said he's already there, but he had that one season, big time headache with the San Antonio Spurs. Also, an injury that people like to put in quotations, where he didn't play and a lot of people thought he should play. That is something that you don't see big time players do very often, like a Michael Jordan, like a LeBron James, like a Kevin Durant. They don't get these injuries and don't go on the court to help their team win, because he still had a good team in San Antonio. Now,
he had a team that, if he had been playing for it, was a championship contender with him.
Right, they were a contender. It was not a great shot, but they had a shot because they had one of the greatest coaches. They had good players, but so
it would have been significantly better with him and Marcus Aldridge on the floor at the same time.
Agreed. But I will say, some coaching that's going on in Toronto, I think was apparent that they had a game plan going for yesterday's game. Mm-hmm. And it was to force the Warriors to stay inside the arc. And I thought it was very effective. They were all over them when they were outside of the arc. Particularly their key shooters like Clay and Steph. On top of that, we got another key injury here, and I don't know how significant it is. I haven't followed up on it today, but Iguodala, he hurt his calf again last night, and it didn't look great. It looked pretty bad. Something that is definitely a concern going forward. I will actually look into that in a few seconds to make sure that it's not, because I did see something pop up today that's saying how if I couldn't exactly see what it said. It either said if he's out or he is out for the series. If he's out for the series, then that's a big deal because he is one of their most important role players.
I mean, one of the more recent things I see is that he is not concerned after he hobbled off the court in Game 1. And that was 4 hours ago, but that means absolutely nothing because his evaluation of himself is meaningless. Whatever that training staff says is what's going to go. So if he's not good, they're not putting him out there.
Right. And so we have that, and then we also have, from what I was watching yesterday, like I was able to watch the last 2 quarters because that's what I was really focusing on last night. I was trying to get to watch the game for a little while. I do want to say hi to Clint real quick because he is saying finally on at a reasonable West Coast time.
This is an oddball of a start.
Yes, so you're welcome. You're welcome, West Coast. The West Coast is, the Warriors are going to be heading back there relatively soon. I mean, the NBA Finals goes on forever because they usually take off so many games in between. But as of right now, the Raptors are doing what they're supposed to do, which is they won at home. And that was a key win because they are playing against a team that has just been kind of rolling through everybody. And the Raptors did have they had some matchups that were a little difficult. And, Kawhi had a little bit of an injury going through the playoffs. That was looking pretty serious, but he seems to be getting through it okay. So I was saying, like the coaching staff over on the Raptors really seems to be trying to make the Warriors uncomfortable, particularly without Kevin Durant. I mean, without Kevin Durant, they don't really have that guy who can go in and out. Because, Kevin Durant's not necessarily a post player, but he is a marksman when it comes to those 12-foot jumpers, those 10-foot jumpers. And Klay Thompson, marksman shooter from the outside. Great catch and release guy, can dribble and shoot okay, but he's really just a marksman from wherever he catches the ball and he throws it up. It's more than likely going to go in. And you have Steph Curry, who's a great handle, can shoot from the outside, can take it in, but he's soft when he goes in. He's not a big body. So, you knock him to the ground a few times, eventually that's going to take its toll on him. And that's the way a lot of people have been playing in the playoffs this year, is they've been kind of a little more physical with him. But ever since Kevin Durant went out, he's been putting up 30-point game after 30-point game after 30-point game. So it's turned into a series that I was definitely not looking forward to. And then I got a notification after the first quarter because I wasn't watching the beginning because I was like a little down on the NBA Finals and what was going on. And then I was like, you know what? Kevin Durant's not there, and so I had my notifications on to let me know what was going on. Got a notification that the Raptors were playing well. I'm like, oh, time to turn on the game. Got to watch the game. So I watched the last 2 quarters, and it was surprisingly, it got really close within a couple points, and then the Raptors just said nope, and just pulled away and got it back up to 10 points. And a double-digit lead against this team is not a guarantee for a win because they can just put buckets up so quickly. But they were doing such a good job of making the Warriors be uncomfortable outside of the arc that they couldn't do that. So I'm very intrigued by this matchup now.
Yeah. The one thing I think the one narrative that needs to go away is that the Warriors are better or the same without Kevin Durant. I'm sorry, it's just not true. It's just not true. I know they won titles before him, and I think they can and probably still will win this title, mostly without him. But to say that they could not have used him and his guaranteed 30-plus points last night is ridiculous. They're a better team with him. I mean, they're still a great team. That just goes to show that's the greatness of the Warriors team.
Yeah.
They are still a good to great team without him. But with him, they're nearly unstoppable. And I'll tell you what, if he doesn't play the rest of this series, if for whatever reason he can't be back on the court for maybe games three and beyond, this will be a series. I still think Golden State wins it because I still think Golden State wins game 2. And really all Golden State has to do is win one of these 2 games, and it really does end. It'll be over. I don't know. I mean, it might be over in 6, but it'll still be over. If they win one game on the road, this series ends. Because I kind of believe Toronto has to win all their home games. Because I don't. I just don't know. I'm not sure. I'm feeling them winning on the road in Golden State. I just don't know.
I don't know. I'm really digging the way that they're playing defense, and I liked how they put Kawhi on Draymond. I thought that was a very interesting because Draymond, since Kevin Durant's been out, Draymond's been doing a lot with pushing the ball, not running the point, but pushing the ball up the floor and making stuff happen. And with Kawhi on him, he had a triple-double last night, but it was 10-10-10. It's not like he was putting up huge numbers, you know?
I will say this for Draymond, too, before I go back to the Raptors. He's been very good in these playoffs. He really has. He's been his normal self in terms of being able to get inside guys' heads, but he's played very, very well. But I want to jump back to the Raptors because there are a couple of things that I thought were interesting from last night's game. One, not only was Kawhi Leonard not the leading scorer for the Raptors, but he was outscored by Pascal Siakam by 9.
Oh yeah,
and Siakam went completely bonkers last night and nearly doubled what. Now look, if you've never heard of Siakam, that's on you because the guy does average like 17 and 7 a game.
He does.
Very solid.
That's kind of a role player. It's kind of a role. It's like he's there to score double digits and get some rebounds and be okay.
Yeah,
but he's not like. It's not like when like John Wall and Bradley Beal, like those 2 guys are mid 20-point scorers. Like they are.
This is out of the ordinary for him.
Yeah.
But what was a really good sign, I think, for the Raptors in last night's game is that the Warriors obviously did a very good job of, if you want to say, shutting down Kawhi. I mean, Kawhi still had 23 points, 8 boards, and 5 assists. Still a good game. But that's a subpar game for Kawhi Leonard, especially in a playoff or finals series.
Yeah.
So the Warriors concentrated on him. They concentrated on shutting him down. They did a good job of it. And then, like most good or great teams, there was somebody there. There were 2 people there, really, to pick up the slack in terms of offensive production. One was Siakam, and the other was the rejuvenated Marc Gasol.
Yeah.
Who is really, I mean, what a pickup that was for Toronto, you know? I mean, what a nice job.
Yeah.
I will tell you this. The Raptors it's a very interesting team on paper. I mean, you've got Kawhi, and you would think Kawhi and, like, Lowry would be your guys, right? On paper, and then from there, it sort of trickles down to the role players. But this team, after Kawhi is clearly, he's the top dog. He's the alpha on the team. But they really do have a nice bench, and they have a lot of good, as you said, role players. I mean, if you look at the bench and you get down to guys, like what's his name there, Van Vliet and Ibaka. And Ibaka's obviously, Ibaka can still be a presence in the middle. But I tell you, I don't want to say I have a feeling about this series that maybe the Raptors can pull something special off here because I don't know. I don't have a lot of faith in this team. This team hasn't been here yet. This is their first time here. And although Kawhi has been here, this is very, very new for the rest of this team. It really is.
Yeah.
This is a completely new experience for this franchise. And the Warriors are a juggernaut of a dynasty. And it's going to be very hard to knock them off the pedestal, even without Durant. That being said, if you're a Raptors fan, you have to like what you saw last night because you had your guy. If somebody told you Kawhi was only going to score 23 last night, you might have said, "Well, we're not winning game 1."
Yeah,
and you won. You won by 9. You won by.
That's
9.
the great thing about Kawhi, though, is that he put up 23 points, but what did he do on the defensive end?
Oh, right.
They really really did a good job of forcing this team to play outside of their game. And I thought that's something that can very easily translate in on home or away. Like either way, that is something that can translate if you're able to do it.
Steph still got his points. He still dropped 34, but Steph's going to kind of do that in his sleep, especially with Durant out, because there's going to be more opportunities for him. Mm-hmm. There's more balls to go around. Same thing with Clay, although Clay only had 21, but his shooting percentage was pretty decent last night. He was like -17 or something. Mm-hmm. So he was solid. But the big hit is Iguodala, as you said, because they need him to step up. In an absence of a guy like Durant, you're going to need a guy like Iguodala because the points do have to start to come from somewhere. And look, Boogie Cousins had his first game back last night. The guy played like 8 minutes, so he's not going to be a contributor for you right away. And really, by the time this series ends is probably when he'd be like really kind of warmed up and ready to give you a significant contribution. But I don't know what you can really expect out of him. And again, he didn't play much last night. I think off the bench, Looney had the most minutes. But I mean, if Iguodala's hurt and Durant doesn't come back, this is going to be an interesting series. Mm-hmm. I really think, to me, this will be a series if Toronto wins the second home game and goes up 2-0 and defends home court, mm-hmm. and then all of a sudden, there is pressure on Golden State. There really is. Because then you sort of get the feeling like Golden State wants to win this series. They better maybe take all three at home. Well, sorry, because this goes 2-2, 1-1-1, I think, right? So yeah. At the very least, they better defend the land when they get back. Because if they don't, and it's not 2-2 heading back to Toronto. If it's 2-2 heading back to Toronto, I have the utmost confidence in Golden State. But if it's 3-1, and Toronto just has to win one, they just have to play 500 ball at home. Mm-hmm. I don't know. It could happen. It would be great to have. And look, going back to where this started with the bittersweet aspect of it for me, it's tough. It is tough to see Kawhi Leonard in a different uniform. It absolutely is. It's really hard for me. That being said, I still think he's a good guy, a high character guy, and I am happy for him. And I hope, and I do hope he wins this. I do hope he wins another championship because, you know what? He was a guy. I mean, look, he was not a very heralded player out of college. Yes, he was the Spurs' first round pick, but keep in mind the Spurs were, picking like. I don't even remember what number pick he was. It might have been 14, sometime after 14, I think, between like 14 and 21 or something like that. And he was not. I don't think they ever. He wasn't
touted as like the next big thing. He was touted as like a good, decent player, good player.
You're not a top 5 pick. You're not looked at in that kind of way. And look what he's turned into. He's turned into what is arguably the.
He's top 3. He's top 3. You can't. I mean, between him, LeBron, and Durant, that's all you can really say.
I'm just wondering, and it's tough. It's tough to you don't want to indict LeBron because he's not playing right now, and all we're seeing is Kawhi playing.
When he did play, though, LeBron was playing at LeBron levels this year.
Yeah, no, he definitely. Right. I mean, the guy's still going to score 30 and grab 8 boards in his sleep. I mean, he's just that great.
Yeah.
But I think it's hard to argue right now. Even if Durant was playing and healthy, I think it would be hard to argue that Kawhi wasn't the best player in the postseason this year. And to think of some of the moments he's given you in this postseason too. First of all, the shot in against the Sixers, the game-winning buzzer shot over Embiid. That's just like an iconic NBA postseason moment.
Yeah.
That picture of him and Embiid. Watching the ball bounce around 24 times.
Oh my gosh,
that is an icon. That is something that we'll talk about for years. That's an iconic NBA postseason moment. And if they win a championship, it becomes even more iconic. It becomes really big. It becomes that kind of thing that you remember, on the way to a title. It doesn't just sort of become a lost footnote. It becomes a really big piece of the history there.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you that, look, the Raptors won last night. That's a good start to this series. That's exactly what the NBA needed because now at least people will tune into game 2 and they'll have that dreaded 4-letter word, hope. hope that maybe this could be a good series, that this could be a long series. Look, we're one more Raptors win away from it actually entering into the long series category, right? I mean, anything 5 or under is considered a short series. Anything 6 or 7 is considered long. So, look, the Raptors have almost given you reason to believe that, and we didn't, because of the timing, we didn't actually get to do our pre,
Our picks, yeah.
I would have picked Golden State in 6, by the way.
So I probably would have picked him in 5, but it depended on obviously if Durant was healthy and because he was originally he was supposed to be able to play in Game 1, but
my feeling was that Toronto would get Game 1 because I just thought the building would be crazed, and I thought the environment was right. I thought the environment was going to be right for that. I think they will lose Game 2. Mm-hmm. They might lose both games in Golden State.
Drake, baby.
Drake.
Toronto.
We'll get to that in a second. But I think
you can't even talk during it.
Nauseating. He's so nasally.
I love Drake.
But anyways, I think it's possible that they go into Golden State, lose both games, down 3-1, come back home, win Game 5, go to Golden State, lose Game 6.
I'm more hopeful. I'm more hopeful, and I think it's more of a coin toss now.
Well, that would be true to what my prediction would have been.
I don't care about what my prediction would have been. There is new information. When there's new information that's out there, things change. And my opinion can change if there is new information. So I am now feeling like this is a coin toss, whereas before I would have thought the Warriors probably would have won in 5, but that was with Durant. With Durant, I would have thought they would have won in 5. I would have thought that the Warriors would have made a huge splash in Game 1, but they don't have Durant right now. And even with Durant, I'd be very, very interested to find out if Kawhi covers Durant, if he covers Draymond still. What do they do in that situation? Do they put Siakam on him? They put Siakam on Durant because he's long, and maybe I don't. But he's not as fast. Like Durant is quick. He can move. He can dribble. He's such an overall talent. So it'll be very interesting to see if and when Durant comes back, and who Kawhi is on when he does. So I don't know. It's a very interesting series now. I think it's with the role players that have been playing well and the way that they're attacking the Warriors.
Yeah,
it's turned into a matchup that I'm intrigued to see where the next game goes.
Sure. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
I still think the Warriors are going to win, but it's an intriguing. It's a little more intriguing now than it was yesterday.
For sure. And the next game is Sunday. So the first game was Thursday, then they take Friday off, and then they take Saturday off, and then they take Sunday. And then, we go all the way to Wednesday, and then Friday. Like, they're just taking off way too many games.
I will say, here's the one takeaway that will happen no matter what happens in this series. Kawhi Leonard has established himself as a franchise-changing player. Because
no matter where he lands.
If he does decide, I'll repeat this again. I hope he does not. I don't want him going to LA to help LeBron out. Where
do you want him to stay? You want him to stay in Toronto?
I would love to see him stay in Toronto. That would be fantastic. Do people really buy that music? What is it? Is it hip hop? Is it rap? What is it?
It's hip hop. I mean, hip hop is rap. I mean, it's all the same.
It's awful.
I like it. It's a mix between hip hop and R&B.
Yeah. So you know what though? Like our generation. I mean, when I think hip hop rap, I think Biggie.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And Mace. Those were I was like.
Well, I mean,
full of people that love Mace.
Biggie's the greatest rapper of all time.
Mace was my boy. Tupac. Those were the guys.
Biggie is the greatest flow rapper of all. Like he was just the greatest party rapper of all time. And then you have Tupac, who's the greatest lyricist of all time.
The other day we're driving home in the car, and Mo Money, Mo Problems comes on, right? Mm-hmm. And the girls are in the car with me. I forgot where we were driving home from. And once it gets to Biggie's part, I sing the whole thing, and I do it in deep Biggie voice, and they were in absolute shock and awe. because I remember every lyric, every single word of it. Actually, I sang the whole song actually, but I I hit like every and the looks on their faces was priceless, absolutely priceless. As we are driving home, and I'm singing the entire, B-I-G, P-O-P-P, and they are like, the looks on their faces was just like, they were like, I think Kate was like, she's like, I'm both impressed and incredibly disturbed. And I'm like, yeah, that's a good reaction. That's a pretty good reaction. She's like, I mean, I can't believe that you still remember all those lyrics and that you actually sounded like that guy. She's like, also, how old is this song though? And like, how is it that you still remember that? So
there you go. You ready? This is a different song. Different song now.
Oh.
Yes, that is the greatest era of hip hop of all time.
Yeah, it is.
But
I
do enjoy Drake.
I hear Drake and I just want to.
I enjoy Drake.
I want to say this for Drake. He took his trolling up to like a level 12 last night with the wearing of the Del Curry signed Raptors jersey. While he's talking trash to Del's kid. I mean, that's look, tip of the cap to Drake. That was some good next level troll job there. No doubt about it. I mean, if you want to get under the skin of one of the players, if you want to go, that's a good way to go, especially the fact that it was signed by him too. That was great. Yeah. And he probably had to have that jersey made, because I doubt that there were just Del Curry Raptor jerseys
just like around all over the place,
floating around the local Mitchell and Ness store in Toronto. I don't even think Mitchell and Ness makes a throwback Toronto Raptors. He had to get that made. So wherever he went about doing that, kudos. He went all out. I mean, he's doing his best Spike Lee imitation for sure. No doubt.
Oh God! All right, so I had a quick question that I put out there for those that are listening on the podcast side of things. Do you think the Raptors will beat the Warriors in the finals? Do you think they even have a shot? Let me know what you think. Either put it in the comments or hit us up on email at shaneandthebrahmin@gmail.com. Of course, you can always hit it up on YouTube as well. We always check our comments after the fact. Clint says he does not think the Raptors will beat the Warriors in the finals. I think it's now a coin flip. All right, so let's move on.
I'm with you.
Yeah. I'm sure that I'm in the minority on that, but I saw what I saw, and I am convinced that this is a much closer game than I had originally anticipated. All right, so let's move on. We're gonna head on to my confession. I wish I had like the Usher song, Confessions. Oh, I got it. Here we go. Ready?
Sure.
So I have a confession, Brian, man. I have not watched the Yankees in almost 2 weeks.
Wow.
It was a choice. It was a choice to not watch. I've been kind of keeping up on with on their website and seeing what things are going on. Obviously, I play fantasy baseball, but so I keep up that way. But it's because of the Game of Thrones. I had confessed to you a while ago, and several other people. I might even have said it on this show that I had never watched an episode of Game of Thrones. But a couple weeks ago, about 3 weeks ago, maybe a little bit more, I decided I was going to start the Game of Thrones and finish it in a very short period of time. Okay. I did. I finally finished it as of 2 nights ago. Okay. I finished the Game of Thrones. I watched all 8 seasons, and I was both happy to finally have it over and also sad because I would like to see it continue. So it's one of those that, it's kind of like, any show that you really enjoy. You always want to see more of it, but it is also a show that I'm glad I didn't watch like everybody else week to week and didn't binge it, because I would have not been able to. I wouldn't have been able to deal with the long breaks that they had. It was absolutely ridiculous. These breaks that they had where they were like a year, 2 years almost, between episodes, between seasons, that would have been excruciating. I would have been so angry because some of these cliffhangers that they had were great. And I was able to just keep on going and stop when I felt like I stopped it. So, but it was also, it wrecked my sleep. It wrecked all the stuff that I normally pay attention to. Like, I was trying to keep up with basketball because I was like, I had to pick one. It's still early in the baseball season. The Yankees are playing well. So, I'm going to rely on you here to let me know what you've been seeing with the Yankees over the last, 10 days or so.
Well, nothing's really changed in the last 10 days.
I know they're still playing well.
Yes, they are, and now you're heading into a 3-game series with Boston. It was supposed to be a 4-game series. Last night was rained out. That'll be made up as part of an August 3rd, my birthday, in case you want to send gifts, doubleheader. So
my wife's right after that, next day.
Yeah, that's right. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday series, 3-game series here. Look, just don't get swept. The Yankees. Just don't get swept by the Red Sox. Because you don't want to really give them hope. If they take 2 or 3, that still sucks. But you know what? They only gain a game, and they're 7.5 behind. So what really would that do? You're not talking about making an impact. Just don't get swept. Don't get swept.
Yeah.
That's really all I ask. But really, I don't think a lot has changed in the last 3 days, in the last 10 days. And I read an interesting article, and I felt like the other day, it was in the Daily News, and it might have been Bill Madden who wrote it. And I was like, yeah, this is channeling me, because it basically, the headline of the article was, "Don't rush back, Giancarlo Stanton." And look, if you're a Yankee fan right now, and I know
I have him on both of my fantasy teams. I need him to come back.
But what's weird about Giancarlo Stanton, and I feel, and this is not, it's like A-Rod in some ways, but in a lot of ways it's not. Because I think if you look at Giancarlo Stanton from the personal perspective, he's nothing like A-Rod. Okay, he's not polarizing like that. The only things they really have in common are their contracts. Yeah. Because honestly,
he's not a schemer. He's not
he's not a scumbag. Yeah. He's not a jerk. Any of those negative connotations.
He's not fake.
No, he's not. Yeah. He's actually, he's a pretty real kind of guy.
And he seems like a decent dude.
But, however, when he's at the plate and he's striking out a ton and he's missing balls by a mile. And he has at bats that legitimately you and I could have in Major League Baseball. Like you and I could easily go up there and swing at 3 pitches, flail away, miss entirely, and walk back to the dugout, and nobody would think.
But would we? They wouldn't have to be the same pitches though. They could just throw 95-mile-an-hour fastballs by us all day. Probably. Whereas him, they have to throw them away.
Right, they have to throw sliders.
Sliders away, and they'll also still walk him twice a game.
Right, they'll still walk him.
So he still gets on base.
Because there's always the fear of him running into one.
Right.
So, you do try and keep the ball away, but let's be honest, the out pitch for him is that slider in the dirt.
Yeah.
That's all you got to do, and he's out. And in a playoff spot, forget it. He's useless. I mean, this is and a lot of people think, this is a problem that you want to have. I don't know that you want to have this problem right now. And that expression, I think, when you look at this Yankee team, they're about to have problems that you may not want to have, because guys are starting to get healthy. Now, look, Didi coming back, yeah, that you want, because Didi is, to me, the heart and soul of the team. You want him back at short. It pushes Glaber back to second. The only issue I have with it, because Gio Urshela is an absolute monument over at third base right now. He is not to be touched or even thought about moving. What makes it difficult is that LeMahieu now has to become a rotational guy. Now, that's still good for the Yankees, because that allows Boone, the genius that he is, to give everybody around that infield, and maybe even some outfield guys, blows every day. But there is no reason that DJ LeMahieu should ever be out of this lineup, though. He has been, and I'm sure that you're happy to hear this, in my opinion, he has been their best player this year. And if he's not their most valuable player, I don't know who it is, other than maybe Urshela or Domingo Germán. So DJ LeMahieu is exactly what this team needed. a contact hitter, doesn't strike out a lot, can give you the occasional home run, plays great defense, is unbelievably versatile, and appears to be pretty clutch. He was everything that the Yankees were lacking last year is embodied in guys like DJ LeMahieu and Gio Urshela. And what concerns me most about all these other guys coming back, whether it's Didi, whether it's Judge, whether it's Stanton, is the chemistry that will definitely, I don't want to say break down because that doesn't seem fair, but you will lose something here. And it is legitimately possible that you could get those guys back. Two of those guys, three of those guys, I think they're all all-stars at one point in their career. You could legitimately get these three all-star players back and be a worse team. It is possible. And it's easily possible because the Yankees right now have, what, the third best record in baseball? Second or third. They're right up there with the Astros and the Dodgers. Mm-hmm. So, and they're all within like a game or a game and a half of each other. So you could make the argument that I don't think it's true because I think the Astros are the best team in baseball. You could make the argument that the Yankees are the best team in baseball. They're certainly one of the top three. And you're going to bring these guys back, and of course you want them back. But then you have to wonder, what does this do to the chemistry of the team, the way this team is playing right now? This team, I said it before a couple weeks ago, I will say it again. I love watching this team. They remind me of the 2017 team, where it wasn't injuries that hurt that team. That team just 2017. The Yankees were
inexperienced.
They were admittedly in a rebuilding mode, pretty much. And you had no expectations for them. Yes, their payroll was high, but that's because they were still carrying guys like A-Rod on it. But this team is so very likable, and I don't want anything to upset that apple cart. But I have a bad feeling, and I put this out there to the Yankees text group a couple of weeks ago. Like, does anybody else feel like this team is going to take a negative turn when all these guys come back? And it was like unanimously, yeah, we do. We feel like the team is not only not going to be as fun to watch, but that they're going to take a step backwards.
See, I'm in a disagreement with you about Didi. That is my biggest. I think that is going to really screw up some stuff. Because
it definitely does because of what it does with the infield and everything that you have going on right now, where things seem to be really good.
Glaber's been pretty solid over at short, from what I've seen.
Which I'm sure surprises you.
It is. He's not good. He doesn't have a ton of range.
He's still making some mistakes.
He doesn't have a ton of range. So he's probably in the bottom third of range. He's probably in the bottom. He's probably maybe in the bottom half of arm strength. And
let's put it this way: if he gets to an All-Star game, it's not going to be because of his.
Well, no, his dude's got 14 bombs. I mean, he's definitely raking. But I will say, at second base, he was the worst second baseman in the league last year.
It wasn't great.
So that makes me nervous. Like, he's obviously very comfortable at short, and because he's playing better at short than he was at second. And DJ LeMahieu is one of the best second basemen in the game. So if you have him there, and you have Urshela, who's a good third baseman, the thing that really worries me is, what are you going to do to make sure that infield is still good? Because you're going to get a lot of ground balls, and they got to be caught. And you can't have Gleyber Torres out in La La Land because he's playing second again.
What would have, I think, made all of this easier is if Voit had sucked. Because then they could have just put LeMahieu at first if they wanted.
Yeah.
Or somebody else. I mean, and then that could have been your infield. But
he does suck at first.
Well, yeah, but
he's your DH. He's a DH. That's what he is. And if you can't use him as a DH, I'm sorry, somebody's out. It's either him or Stanton. Stanton makes more money. Stanton's going to be the DH. But they're going to continue to throw Voit at first because during the regular season, it doesn't matter quite as much. The mistakes that he's going to make at first base. It's not as do or die of a win during the regular season. But when it comes to playoff time, the Yankees, you're screwed.
I just want to. So, Seaside Reptiles, by the way, I love that name. I don't know what that's about, but that's great. Should try and trade Stanton while he's still fairly young. See the
contract.
I think we all agree with that. I think that's
it's like, unless you're going to pick up most of the contract, because nobody's taking that contract.
Exactly. You would be very hard pressed to find a trade partner there. In fact, the only one I could even think is the Dodgers, mostly because they've got the money.
Oh, he would love to be in LA too.
Accommodate
Yeah.
that, he would like to be in LA. And it would be very similar to the Marlins trade. If you're expecting anything in return for him, that's a bad idea. You should just be able. Yeah. You should just be trying to offload that contract for like a giant bucket of big league chew, grape flavor preferably. But
it is good. Grape is good.
It's tremendous.
I like watermelon too. Watermelon's not bad.
Watermelon's surprisingly decent. I grew up when I played baseball.
Grape is good.
But I mean, I think of course most Yankee fans almost unanimously would want to say.
I like that, Clint.
We can unload him. We should do it. But it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy to trade a contract like that. Even if you get nothing in return, the big piece of that is getting rid of that contract.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the Yankees at this point are stuck with him. I think they're stuck with him the way they were stuck with A-Rod. At least with him, it's not a character issue. But if he can't produce in the postseason, because look, if you're going to spend $325 million on a guy, even though they didn't give him that contract, they assumed it. So they might as well have given it to him. But if you're going to pay a guy that kind of money, he needs to be able to produce in the postseason. And I am not confident, as I'm sure you are, based on what we saw last year, that Giancarlo Stanton is going to be a presence for them in the postseason. If anything, he's going to be a putz, and they're going to have to, they're going to have to try and win, despite him in the postseason, and that's a big hole in your lineup if he can't give you anything. So I wish they could trade him. I just don't think it's there because there's really only one dance partner for you, and I don't think the way the Dodgers are playing right now. Why would they want Giancarlo Stanton? They've got an abundance. They're doing just fine in the outfield. They've got one of the best players in baseball, if not the runaway MVP right now, in Clay Bellinger. Thanks, Yankees, for getting the wrong Bellinger. But
yeah.
We got Cody. We needed the son, not the dad. Also, I want to say something right now, too. It's a really cool time in baseball right now. Because between Clay Bellinger, although Cody was nothing special, but between Clay Bellinger, that's funny. Between Clay Bellinger, Biggio's kid, Vlad Guerrero Jr., Carl Yastrzemski's grandson, it's a cool time in baseball right now for legacies. It really is. It's fun. And Vlad Guerrero is
Bichette, Biggio.
That's right. I forgot about one of Dante's many kids.
Yeah.
But yeah, you got the Biggio. Biggio kind of looks so much like his dad, and Vlad Guerrero Jr. is just so much fun.
Yeah.
He is just the joy.
Like Vlad Guerrero was fun to watch, but he wasn't not as high energy as his son.
Yeah.
And his son is fat.
He's a big kid.
He's a big boy. But he is having fun.
He's what my daughter would call a thick boy.
Yeah.
But yeah. But he does. But he has fun. And
he has a blast.
Him and these other kids are exactly what baseball needed this year. It's actually been a very fun baseball year.
Yes.
It really has.
And now I can start watching it again, so it's great.
Yes, I'm glad you come out from under the Game of Thrones rock.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that was a rock.
I will tell you
sure.
the one thing. I mean, again, I didn't watch the show, but I did sort of keep up with it, just almost by osmosis between the wife, friends, and Twitter. I mean, I really felt like I knew everything that was going on.
I had no idea of anything that was going on. Yeah, I had no idea. I put my head in the sand when it came to that show because I knew someday I was going to watch it, and I was like, finally, because I got my vasectomy, as you know, as I've talked about in the show. And I was like, that's what I'm going to do. I'm stuck on the couch. I'm starting Game of Thrones. And I was able to get through almost 2 seasons of Game of Thrones while I was really recuperating from but I had to continue. I had to continue on. I couldn't stop after 2 seasons. I had to plow through the rest of them. And I did. And it was fun.
Are you in a good spot with the Twig and Berries right now? How are things?
I think so. I'm going for a little bit of a follow-up today in about an hour and 45 minutes, so we'll see. I think we'll see. We'll see how it's going. I get to go see if the swimmers are swimming still. Not now, but I think in a couple weeks. So we'll let you know. We'll let you know how it's going. But as of right now, I would have to say, as far as Game of Thrones goes, it is probably my favorite dramatic TV show of all time. I had a blast, and there were a lot of characters I loved. There was a lot of characters I hated, but it was because they played their characters well. So, all right, let's get on. We got to move on to the other side of things, because we are done talking about the Yankees for now. I've been filled in on how they've been playing. Seems like things are going okay. I'm glad I didn't miss too much. And
winning series, that's the other thing.
Yes, and now we will get into. We got a lot of movies to talk about here. Speaking of sorting it out.
Movies and punches.
All right, so you got. I want to hear, the first thing I want to hear is, because Godzilla comes out today.
Of course.
How was it? I heard Godzilla did not have enough screen time once again.
That is true. There was a lot of focus in this movie on the other monsters, on the other Titans, as they call them. Between Mothra and the Hydra. Actually, Hydra there, the three-headed dragon one. That was Hail Hydra. That was like the focal point of the movie. It really did seem like that.
Hail Hydra.
That was such a great scene in Endgame too. By the way, we are totally in the spoiler zone now. We can say anything we want about Avengers. It's
okay. All right.
So they killed Tony.
Oh!
That's all right. Part of the journey is the end. But
I love cheeseburgers.
and we love you 3000, Tony.
I'll get you as many cheeseburgers as you want.
So, as many cheeseburgers as you want. But look, this movie was pretty much exactly what I expected it to be. I'm glad it was free.
Mm-hmm.
It was one of the free previews that I get through that website, and it was exactly what I thought it would be. You grab your bucket of popcorn and just watch these monsters kick the crap out of each other.
Was there a lot of crap kicking?
There was some pretty good.
Was it worth it? Or should I just wait for it to come out on DVD?
On demand?
I
would wait. Oh, I would wait.
Okay.
Yeah, I would. This is not anything I would go to the movie theater to see if it wasn't cool.
Did you like the other Godzilla that came out a couple years ago?
No, I did not.
You didn't like it? I enjoyed it.
A little bit better.
Oh, I enjoyed that other one, but I thought, they only gave Godzilla like 20 minutes of screen time, and I sat there for 2 hours.
So I went with Timmy Tim, and I thought his assessment of the movie was good. Because afterwards, I was like, nah, that was good. And he was like, it wasn't good. He was like, but it was fun. I'm like, yeah, all right, I'll buy that.
A popcorn flick. It's a popcorn flick.
That's pretty much what it was.
So if you're looking for a time to go to the theater, get some air conditioning, shove some popcorn in your mouth, and just sit back and just enjoy a little bit of a theater appearance. Oh, it was? That's the worst.
And there were a lot of people in there, again, because of these free screenings from advancedscreening.com. That's where we get these things.
They try and get them hot and sweaty?
Well, they always hand out more tickets than there are seats available because they want to make sure it's completely filled.
Yeah.
And
they don't turn on the AC until 5 minutes before the movie starts, and then it's too late.
As you know, because you've been to quite a few of these with me, there are quite a few smelly mutants that show up at this thing, and so some of these people look like they haven't bathed in ever, and so you get a certain element that's going on there, and the subculture, as I like to call it, it's an interesting subculture. But
that body odor comes over and gives you a little bit of.
By the way, I should not be the one making fun of these people for a number of reasons. One, I'm one of the regulars.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
so I'm part of the subculture. Two, I'm a professional wrestling fan, so you don't get more, grimy than that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look, I'm not a wrestling fan, but I'm a wrestling fan. So I go to free movies with mutants, and I go to wrestling events. In fact, I'm going to a wrestling event tomorrow night, NXT 25, which I'm very excited about.
Cool. All right, so let's get into the
quick grade.
Godzilla.
Let's go with a 6 out of 10.
All right, that's I would say that if I feel like it, I would not mind going to the theater to see that.
I don't know. Then maybe go.
It's one of those that you want to go and just have a little bit of a fun time. Like, you're not going to get, life-changing experience. Like, it's not going to be Inception.
The thing about it is I think they probably on the editing floor could have cut about 20 minutes out of this. It was 2 hours and 12 minutes. I bet you they could have gotten it to like an hour 50.
Okay. All right. So we got that. We have you saw the most important one, I think, is because it hasn't come out. It's not even close to coming out yet. It's Secret Life of Pets 2.
So I had as I was explaining to you, I had early access tickets through Fandango Now, which is really cool. By the way, if you sign up for like a Fandango Now VIP membership, which is free, they will send you emails about early access screenings where you still pay for the movie, but you get to see it 2 weeks early. Like, This is how I saw Shazam. Shazam was the same thing.
Yeah, I got those too. Yeah, I have that. Yeah.
Secret Life of Pets 2, I'm going to give a 7.5 out of 10. I enjoyed this. The girls really enjoyed it. It was funnier than the first one.
Really?
Yes. I enjoyed this one actually more than the first one.
Because I liked the first one, but I thought it was a little disappointing. The first one. The first one was a little disappointing.
I would agree, actually, especially in hindsight after seeing this one, because I thought this one was better.
That's good.
And this one was kind of cool, because there were sort of two stories going on at the same time in this movie, where you had things kind of going on in New York, and then you had things going on sort of out on the farm. And look, some of the highlights of this, the scene, and you've seen this in the trailer too, but it's still funny when you see it. But the scene where she takes Max to the vet, and Max has all these different interactions with all these different pets while he's at the vet was really funny. Okay. I mean, the best part, and again, it's in the trailer, but like he's, especially conversations with cats, because the cats are just
weird,
creepy,
yes,
and freaky. But he turns to like these two cats that are sitting together in a carriage, and the cats just are like wide-eyed. And they look at him and they say, "We set fire." It's great. One of the other bright spots was again involving cats. This old lady, the old crazy cat lady, and her like 100 cats, and they have to dress up. Gidget as a cat to go into the old cat lady's house to retrieve Max's play toy, because she was charged with watching Max's play toy while Max was going out to the country with his family. And then the last part, going to the country, of course, and for me, the highlight of the movie, how could it not be, was Rooster, the country farm dog, voiced by, of course, the incomparable Harrison Ford. And his voice was perfect for that dog.
All right.
So 7.5 out of 10 for that. Detective Pikachu.
Yeah.
Saw that. Now look, I will say this about Detective Pikachu, and I give that a 6.5 out of 10. But I will say this: I went into that movie with very little, if any, working knowledge of Pokemon whatsoever, and I was still able to follow it pretty well. So
that's good.
I think that's actually a good thing for.
Was Ryan Reynolds funny?
Ryan Reynolds was funny. Yes, I like. He was.
Was the kid a little bit of a letdown? Like the interaction back and forth with the kid, or did it balance okay?
Wasn't that Will Smith's kid? I think.
I don't think so.
Oh, I thought it was. I don't know. I thought it was Will Smith's kid. Maybe not. But it wasn't bad. It wasn't a bad movie. I would say, if you like Pokemon even a little bit, of course. And then the other one, last but not least, in fact,
John Wick.
Last is John Wick.
Parabellum.
This gets an 8.5 out of 10. I liked it better than the second, which is saying a lot because I really liked the second. It's there with the first, probably a little under. If I had to put them in order of best to, least best, 1, 3, 2 is probably how I would order it. This movie was awesome. And look, it's not much of a spoiler because it was already announced there's going to be a John Wick 4, but there is going to be another one.
He said that he'll do them for as long as people want them.
And the cliffhanger is really great. It's not even a cliffhanger so much as it just sets up nicely for the next.
Cool.
And I really enjoyed this movie, and I might actually go see it again, just because it was so much fun. Great action. It's everything you want out of a John Wick movie. Very little in terms of dialogue from him.
That's good.
He's, speaks softly and carries a big stick. That's the whole John Wick, I think, mantra. But but a really, really fun movie. That is an absolute go to the movie theater. Do not wait for DVD. Go see it.
Yeah, I have plans to go see that at some point in time.
Keanu Reeves, and I love Keanu Reeves, and who doesn't love Keanu Reeves? And then what are we talking about? The Rambo Last Blood
We
trailer?
could talk about it real quick. I mean, it was fine.
Yeah,
I wasn't blown away by it. I can't even say I was really looking forward to seeing the trailer. I just happened to stumble across it today. I watched it. I was like, all right, yeah,
I'll go see it.
maybe.
Again, if I get free tickets.
Yeah, I might.
Go see
If
it.
if it comes out and gets a bunch of good reviews, then yeah, I might go see it. Or if like I hear a couple of my friends and they say, yeah, dude, it's a fun ride. But it looks like it's gonna balance on between of like fun action flick and a little too serious. And that doesn't. Right,
scenes,
but that doesn't typically work well. It's like you either got to go fun, Expendables kind of go crazy, or you got to be serious. It's not. It's very rare where you can find a movie like First Blood where it's dark, it's disturbing, it's brutal. Like where that works well. But this looks like it's going to be kind of a mix between Expendables and that, and it's two almost different genres that I don't know if they're going to fit well. So it depends, because it seemed like they were trying to go with the dark and brooding tone, but then some of the kills were a little bit more in line with like the Expendable kind of stuff. I don't know. So I'm torn with how it's going to be, but I'm hoping that it's going to be good because I actually liked Rambo, the one that he came out with a couple years ago, because that was more in line with the Expendables, where it was just brutal killing everywhere. Everybody was dying everywhere, and he was like...
This has a Logan feel to it.
A little bit, yeah, but...
but not that good.
Yeah, it's different.
Nowhere near that good.
Yeah, like it's not going to be... I don't know what I want to see out of a Rambo movie, because there's been so many of them, and they kind of shifted tones. So...
Listen, nothing will ever beat First Blood. Nothing. That was just a credit. That was an awesome movie.
Yeah.
It was just, and the story was actually good too. I mean, this is gonna struggle.
Yeah.
But at least they're calling it Last Blood, so I think we know that this is the end. So.
All right, so that's pretty much it for our show today. Thank you guys for watching, listening, however you took this in. Thank you to the Seaside Reptiles, whoever that may be. We both think we would love to trade Giancarlo Stanton because we have an abundance of outfielders. We have the ability to, just don't know if it's going to be an option. I mean, that's going to be...
like a good Seaside Reptiles sounds like a good minor league baseball game.
It does. It really does. It might be. Who knows? And then Clint, thank you very much for joining as well. Go Bills, as he said. He said something about my favorite too. I'm assuming that he's talking about Game of Thrones as his dramatic, his favorite dramatic TV show. Maybe I don't know, or he might be talking about First Blood. I don't know. Either way, those are both great. So anyway, we will catch you again on Monday. I think Monday. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter and all that stuff, and check us out, and make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you will be let known when we go live. And you can find me on Twitter at EinhornIsFinkel.
Find me on Twitter at _Bry_man, and we've come to the end of our program. And as I say in the words of the immortal Tony Stark, part of the journey is the end. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Stay classy. Stay classy, Plymouth.
We will see you guys again soon. And remember, visit the website, www.sportsandsorts.libsyn.com. Peace. Bye.